Okay, my friends, hello. Happy Friday. At least it's Friday when I'm filming this video. We are back to that time of year where it is very gloomy, very rainy, very wet and cold and gross in the Pacific Northwest. But that doesn't really matter because today we're going to be talking about sugar and whether or not sugar addiction is real and what to do if you feel like you're addicted to sugar. So this is a really popular topic with all of you on Instagram, on TikTok, and it comes up a lot with my clients. So I'm excited to dive into it. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Oh, and if you haven't met me, my name is Katrina Kofed. I'm a nutritionist and behavioral health coach. I help people change their habits, break free from diet culture, overcome emotional and binge eating, and create sustainable, healthy lifestyles that can truly last for life. If you have ever felt like the clock hits 2 or 3 in the afternoon and you just need something sweet to get you through the rest of the workday, or you need that sugary coffee in the morning or drink to start your day, or it's after dinner and you just need a little something sweet to wrap up your meal, chances are you are familiar with what it feels like to be sort of hooked on sugar or constantly seeking out something sweet. And some people really identify with this strongly and feel like they are ruled by sugar and really feel like they're addicted to sugar. Other people are more like, yeah, I really like sweet things. Sweet things are tasty, but they're not spending, half their day thinking about sugar and sweets. So regardless of wherever you fall on the spectrum, a lot more people these days are feeling like they're addicted to sugar because we live in a world where we have a much greater access to these highly processed and ultra palatable foods that are literally chemically engineered to be so satisfying and be so flavorful to our taste buds that we sort of get hooked and want more. But this brings up the question, is sugar addiction real? And more so, is food addiction real? Now, research is a little mixed on this. And right now, just to cut to the chase, as a health professional, I don't feel that there's enough evidence showing that sugar addiction is a real condition to be able to go, diagnose someone and say, hey, you have sugar addiction. What I think is a better way to interpret, how we interact and behave around sugar is that when we consume things that are hyper palatable, so when you have a food like a pastry that's a combination of like flour, oil, and butter and sugar, some variation of that is a hyper palatable combination of foods that's created to be super satisfying, super flavorful, and super tasty at the end of the day. So really the way I explain it to clients when it comes to sugar and fat, because both of those are really palatable foods that we seek out a lot of the time. And those tend to be where our cravings come from, including salt. But usually fat is mixed into both the sugar that we crave and anything salty that we crave. So think potato chips, French fries, like really high fat, greasy and salty foods. Those are not just salty, they're also high fat content, right? Same thing with all of the sugary things that we want. Ice cream, chocolate bars, candy is, can be a low fat food, but very high in sugar. Pastries, cookies, brownies, baked goods, all those things are not just high in sugar content, but they're also high in fat content because it creates that hyper palatable food. That's what we're really looking for. So all of this to say, the way I explain this, why do our bodies seek out these foods so much? If you look back at evolutionary biology, humans have evolved for our taste buds to always seek out and prioritize the highest calorie and the highest nutrient foods, okay? So think back to a time where we didn't have grocery stores, we didn't have an abundance of modern, delicious processed foods and easily available foods everywhere we went. This is how we lived for most of humankind, being alive, right, throughout history. So we would have to hunt, we would gather, and often we would go days without eating anything. So our taste buds really have developed over time throughout evolution, throughout history, to prioritize foods that were higher calorie and to learn what those foods tasted like. So the reason foods today that are sweet or that are fatty taste really good is because our taste buds have learned to adapt to those tastes and recognize when something is sweeter. So let's say a yellow banana versus a green banana picked off the tree. A yellow banana is going to have more calories, more sugar, and therefore be more nutrient dense, more calorically dense. So it was important for our taste buds to learn that and prioritize that food over a green banana so that we can gather the most nutrition from it, right? So the same system is at play today. Our bodies take a long time to evolve, and honestly, our modern world has changed so much over the course of just, the past 100 to 200 years alone that our human evolution has not had time, our biology has not had the time to catch up. So we find ourselves in this dilemma today of sugar cravings and feeling like we're addicted to sugar and ultra palatable foods, when in reality, our society and the world that we live in changed so rapidly that our bodies haven't had the time to catch up. Now, the reason I always explain this to people is, one, so you understand what's really going on, and two, so that you don't feel like craving sugar or wanting sweets. So all of this to say, this is just a reminder that understanding how our biology works and how we got to this point with our sugar cravings is for you to be more informed and for you to understand that it is not a moral failure or something completely wrong on your part that you have sugar cravings and that you want sweet things, okay? I work with a lot of people who feel like there's something wrong with me because I constantly want sugar, when in reality, there's a lot of different reasons for us craving sugar. There's just the way our bodies work and the fact that our tongues and our taste buds know that we can get more calories from very sweet foods, so we tend to seek those out. But also, when we tend to crave sugar is usually when we're tired, we're stressed, we're exhausted, we're overwhelmed, we're feeling down, we're feeling defeated. Sugar and eating sugar elicits dopamine in our brain, right? So it elicits those feel-good chemicals that make us feel a little bit better in our current situation, make us a little happier. We can get dopamine from a lot of other things, and this sort of ties into a lot of the talking that I do about emotional eating, and same thing with whether it's sugar or whether it's high-fat foods, right? We tend to reach for foods that are going to be ultra palatable and really satisfying because we're missing that dopamine and we need to feel good in the moment. So I'll link the video here for understanding emotional eating and how to overcome it, because if you find yourself with sugar cravings, you also need to watch this video because they go hand in hand a lot of the time. But let's talk about how can you reduce and kind of be proactive about your sugar cravings, because we know that they're going to happen. Instead of trying to stick your head in the sand and pretend it's fine and it's never going to happen again, let's be more proactive and let's look at it from a perspective of, I want to satisfy my taste buds, I want to nourish my body, and I want to do what I can to keep myself from diving headfirst into the pantry and eating all the Oreos in sight, because that's not going to make anyone feel good. Nothing wrong with Oreos. I think you should have sweet things pretty regularly, and I honestly encourage all my clients to have sweets on a very regular basis. I myself, I eat dessert at least once a day, whatever that may be. So all of this to say, incorporating sweets more regularly into your diet is going to, one, help you feel less restrictive about it, two, take away the guilt and the shame that we often have so associated with food rules and with sugar and with sweets and pastries and baked goods and all these things. I know I had so many rules about what kind of sweets I could and couldn't eat for so long, and it was just so unhealthy. And now that I have I have no rules, now I just have guidelines for myself around how I like to eat and what makes me feel good, I almost never have sugar cravings, right? It's more like, oh, I'd like something sweet. Okay, what can I have? Let me have it, and then move on with my life, right? That's why I want you to be too. So let's get into how can you prevent these sugar cravings and how can you be more proactive about it. Number one is definitely eating regular meals, okay? So I see people have sugar cravings when they also are eating not breakfast, they're skipping breakfast, they're having a tiny salad for lunch, and then they're having a coffee at 2 p.m. so that they don't eat until dinner. If you are not eating regular meals throughout the day, it is no wonder you are having such intense sugar cravings throughout the day and at night, or you eat sugar and you feel like you crash or you have no energy afterwards. It's because your body has no fuel to work with, okay? You gotta give your body the fuel that it needs to function well. So nourishing breakfast, lunch, and dinner, ideally a snack or two in there too is what I wanna see. And then it's gonna be, one, you're gonna be less likely to crave sugar, and two, even if you do, let's say you want a couple cookies after dinner, you can have 2 or however many servings, is a normal serving size, and then move on, right? You can satisfy that desire for that food and then move on with your life, instead of, I had a salad for lunch at 12 and then I had a coffee at 4 and now it's 7 p.m. and I don't really want to eat dinner because I'm trying to lose weight, but now I want sugar, and then all of a sudden you're binging. It's just not a good cycle. So number one, most important thing, eating regular and well-balanced meals throughout the day. We want to see protein, complex carbs, vegetables, fruits if it applies, healthy fats. We want it to be satiating and satisfying. Don't feel like you need to eat something that is completely the opposite of what you're actually in the mood for, okay? So that's the biggest thing. Nourishing and well-rounded meals 3 times a day or in whatever quantity works for you. I get a lot more into teaching how to create well-balanced and super satiating and satisfying meals inside my program, The Method Healthy Habits for Life. For people with diabetes, PCOS, insulin resistance, that's gonna look a little different. And it just kind of depends on what your goals are. It depends on where you're at in your journey. If you've been restricting for a long time, you're gonna need some different meals than someone, who maybe is eating for diabetes and they want to learn how to incorporate more fruits and vegetables into their diet and regulate their blood sugar, right? And support their energy levels that way. So all in all, the frame the general advice of having regular meals that are well-rounded. It's going to be really good for everyone, no matter where you are, but it's going to be more nuanced depending on your specific health background and exactly what you're looking for, right? So number 2, the biggest way to be proactive about sugar cravings is to take care of your energy and your stress levels. Now, I know this is always, health professionals ask you to do this all the freaking time, and a lot of the time it's going to be much easier said than done. But instead of just, rolling your eyes and like clicking exit on this video and, never wanting to listen to me again, I really encourage you to take a second to think about, how are my energy levels lately? How is my mood lately? Am I exhausted all the time? Do I go to bed at a reasonable time? Am I getting, less than 7 hours of sleep a night? All of these things are going to make it so much more likely that you crave sugar, and not just sugar, but that you're in a bad mood, you're exhausted, you're, not fully present with your loved ones, like your partner, your friends, your family, your kids, whoever it may be, right? You're probably less efficient at work. Maybe you're staying up late at night and then watching TikTok, and then you get a bad night of sleep, and then you're exhausted the next day and you're in a terrible mood, right? It's not the greatest way to live. And I totally get that sometimes we go through periods that are really busy, really high stress, and that's just the way it is. But if you have been in that period for quite a while now, I really encourage you to sit down and reflect on, is this benefiting me? And if not, what can I do to change it? Because this is just not helping you live your best life right now, okay? So look at something like going to bed even just half an hour earlier. What would that be like? Set an alarm before you need to go to bed so that you can go get ready for bed on time and get in bed at a decent time, right? Really just getting at least 7 hours of sleep a night, ideally more, ideally 8, but 7 is a good place to start for those of you who are getting like 4 to 5 hours of sleep a night. Aim for 7 hours of sleep a night, and taking a bit of time for yourself throughout the day if you can. I talk to a lot of parents who are so busy, always taking care of their kids. They're working full time, they're cooking dinner, they're cleaning the house, they're running their kids around to, after school activities and sports and whatever the case may be. But as a parent, it's even more crucial that you do what you can to get 15 minutes for yourself in, whatever that looks like, okay? Whether it looks like having a slower start to your morning so you're not frantic and chaotic and rushed at the beginning of the day, or it looks like, letting your kid watch TV for half an hour so that you can have 15 minutes to read a book for yourself, right? I really encourage you to do that, because modeling self-care and modeling taking care of yourself for your child and for your family is so important, so that your kids can grow up and see you do that, right? And see how important it is for you to also take care of yourself, right? Because we all know when we're tired, when we're stressed, when we're exhausted and overwhelmed, it's really difficult to show up as the best version of ourselves. So you deserve better than that. And at the end of the day, we're the only ones who can really make a change. So I encourage you, regardless of what your situation is, I encourage you to challenge yourself and ask, where is one area that I can take a little bit more time for myself, whether that means going to bed a little earlier or taking some time out in your day to spend doing something relaxing for you, okay? So when it comes to beating the sugar cravings, regular meals, getting enough sleep, and if you really do want something sweet, don't guilt yourself about it, right? Don't feel like, this is so bad, I can't believe I'm eating this, I'm gonna gain 5 pounds, oh my God, this is gonna make me fat, oh, all these oils that are in this thing. Enjoy the food, be present during the experience, and then move on, okay? And if this is like, oh my gosh, there's no way that's gonna be so difficult, I get it. It takes a long time to recover from diet culture, from diet trauma, from disordered eating habits, from these really intense food rules and food anxiety. That's exactly what I help my clients do inside the method and also inside my one-on-one coaching. If you're interested in having more support about that, you can find all the details linked in the description below. But for now, I really encourage you to have some self-compassion, have some grace for yourself. You deserve good things too. There's nothing wrong with you for wanting sweets. And when they're well planned and when they're, when you're not feeling guilty about it, they can be a really fun and satisfying and tasty part of your healthy, balanced diet. So with that, I'm gonna wrap it up today. Really curious to hear your takeaways from today's video. Did you learn something new? What do you wanna see next? Leave a comment for me below, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.